The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, Greg Davis, Superfit at Rockstar.com. How's everybody doing? Can you hear me? Type that you can hear me, please. Eddie can hear me. Tim can hear
I
me.
can definitely hear you.
Well, that's the most important. All right. Well, welcome, guys. It's a little new look to webinar since this is going to be more of an interview style. So I figured, you might want to see a pretty face, and Gabriella's not bad. She's not bad either. So, just joking,
Nice.
just joking. But welcome, guys. Just want to introduce Gabriella. I actually met her a couple years ago. I think through Rico, and then I
Yes.
actually saw her speak at Rico's event. Was last year or the year before, something like that. And I was
Hmm.
really impressed, by her and what she talked about, and then over this past year, she's been making some videos. She's put them, posted in my Facebook group, and they've been really, really good. A lot of good content. I've actually learned quite a bit, from them as well. And we're very well received. And so I was so impressed that I asked her to speak at my upcoming event, Affiliate Millionaires, and she graciously accepted. So I'm very, very happy about that, and very excited to see her. But she's a lot more than just email specialist. Specialist. She's actually a marketing analyst and strategist. Okay, so anything that you can break down, that you can analyze, she can do from a marketing perspective. So whether it's Facebook, whether it's other types of media buying, whatever. And I've actually seen some of her Facebook stuff, and she had some really, some really good insights that, it's kind of funny because if you, like for myself, like just mostly doing rebuilds on Facebook, and you get exposed to the same stuff over and over and over again. So it's kind of refreshing to get, see another perspective, and it just really, helps improve your marketing as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Gabriella Rapone. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for that warm welcome, Greg. Super excited to be here. Yes, going back to what my specialty is, it truly is being able to analyze data and basically reverse engineering. That's truly my strong suit. So when people come to me and say, Gab, how can we possibly, how can we reach, 1 million in reach, let's just say on Facebook, or how do we make $1 million in revenue on email? I can basically give them the entire strategy and plan to basically get to that point. So this is why I basically do anything, but my strong suit really is email, because that's where I got my start 13 years ago in email marketing. And we kind of have this sort of kind of love-hate relationship a little bit with, and I'm sure a lot of people online have this love-hate relationship with email or Facebook, and or with whatever you're basically doing online. So as much as I'm really good at email, I love it, I understand the value of it, still some days it's like you just don't want to press send. So this is it. So I'm really super excited to be here to be able to share with your community basically anything I can share with them in terms of being able to make more money with email, because I know that email unfortunately is not as sexy as Facebook, which doesn't really make much sense because it holds the most value when it comes to making money online. It doesn't lose value. It's not like Facebook where you're renting traffic. With email, you own it, which to me makes no sense. I'd rather own versus rent. I don't know about you, Greg, but
No, I agree
I like to own.
wholeheartedly. And somebody that has a very love hate relationship with Facebook, as well as
Yes.
Google. Yeah, I can personally attest to the fact that email is way better. Having controlling your
Yes.
own traffic source is way better. So yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, I don't know why it's not as sexy. Why those webinars don't get as much of attendance and stuff like that. Who knows? I mean, but the thing about it is, people go for what they want, not what they need sometimes. So
Exactly. I mean, even I've struggled with this. I'm like, I don't understand. I'm like, even trying to promote a lot of the email things or just being able to just drive awareness, you just see it's just like crickets. Just no one is interested. And it just doesn't make any sense because, as I mentioned before, it adds so much more value to your business. So if you're making whatever it is, $1 on the front end, email will end up bringing you $4 to $5 more on the back end. And on top of that, too, it's an asset. You turn around, you sell it, like anything else. So again, it's one of those struggles trying to understand how to make it a little bit more sexy. But in the meantime, that do understand the value of email marketing, those are the guys that I typically tend to focus a lot more. Big businesses know the value of email marketing. They know it.
Yeah, as far as affiliate marketing, I think part of the reason why they kind of get turned off by it is because they maybe tried it before and failed,
Yes.
like myself, And actually, we're going to get into like some of the most common failures and how people can correct them. But I think that's part of it. Or people just have this whole kind of preconception that it's so difficult. Oh, I can't. I'll never be able to do it, and all this. White listing IPs and all this type of stuff. It's just like very intimidating. So I think that's part of it too.
Mhm.
But part of the reason why I have you here and at the event is because like a lot of the email specialists or whatever that are out there, you have a system that makes it simple, that really breaks it down to its core components, the core components that you need to actually make money. And so I think that that people are the affiliate marketers that may be a little bit afraid of email, are going to find that very refreshing. But before we get into that, let's talk about your background. Like, who is Gabriella? Where did you
Yes.
come from? Like, not from the birth, not from the womb, but just kind of,
Ah, yes. Well, basically, yes. So I got started in online marketing 13 years ago as an account manager at an ESP. So, and I started like back in the day where, it was still considered spam, and I was actually coming in at the tail end of when people were basically printing money with email. I mean, people were making millionaires were made overnight. Overnight, they were made. So I came at the tail end where things started to become a little bit more on the permission based, where kind of third party managing other people's email lists was kind of being phased out. And this was 13 years ago already. It was being phased out. Not like now where people still manage email lists. They still do now, but it's just a lot harder. So basically, I was born from the darkness of email, we'll say, where, I really did start with, learning everything in terms of having my own servers, having my own IPs, binding my own IPs and all those, and being able to whitelist and buying whitelists and, making deals with return path for, thousands of, hundreds of thousands of dollars back in the day when you could, basically grease certain people to be able to inbox. So I really did come from that background. So for me, coming from that background and then kind of moving over to more the permission-based email marketing. And when I talk about permission-based, I'm talking about basically list building, right? That's more permission-based. So when you're going to that now, it's a totally different ballgame, but it also relieves 100% of your headaches. So, and I basically decided, years ago, over 8 years ago, that I would focus more on that in terms of working only with direct advertisers. Because let's face it, when you work online, you want to pick your battles. And to me, picking those battles of who am I going to choose to basically battle, I'm going to choose to go with the direct advertisers that I know at least have a long-term strategy in place and plan. So really, I was born, like I said, from spam. It's from being a spammer, quote unquote, to now being, 100%, always, not that I wasn't legit, but being, only working with, direct advertisers and list building. And again, through that, I was able to, transfer my expertise, right, my analytical skills, because I do have an economics background. That's what people don't realize, is that I actually have a degree in economics and econometrics. And it's all analysts. It's all analyzing. So analyzing data is what I do best. And I basically took those skills, I applied it to Facebook, and, just one simple test yielded amazing results where I was able to, get millions of reach. This one case study yielded, insane results. And, again, it just comes down to looking at the data. I make no assumptions about anything. I always look at the data, always, because the numbers never lie. People do, but numbers don't. So that's basically a little bit about me and my background in online marketing.
oh, sounds like you kind of had a beginning in black hat too, huh? We know some.
Well,
We
kind
know a little
of.
bit
Like I
about
was
that.
Yes, like don't get me wrong. I know all the tactics for a black hat when it comes to email. I mean, we're talking about back in the day where people would actually like go around in their cars looking for Wi-Fi signals to be able to send out like millions of emails. That's so I know the tactics. 100% know them. I just never adopted them. But yes, I was
Don't
born
be
into
ashamed. Embrace the blackness.
it. I embrace
Embrace
it.
the dark side. So,
Listen, I appreciate both the black hat and the white hat. You have to. You have to because again, like I live, like my company is called Ace Maverick Media, and it's called Ace Maverick for a reason, right? Ace came from a name that my client used to always give me because he would always call me Ace because I was always right on the things that I would give him, and Maverick because I tend to go on that. I push the line of the white hats. So I embrace both the black and the white hats all the time.
all right, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, well, let's get into these the top email marketing mistakes that are killing your business. And you kind of mentioned one just here briefly. You talked about assumptions. So, what's the number one mistake that the number one email marketing mistake that people are making?
Yes. So the number, yes. So assumptions is a lot. I mean, even yourself, right? As a marketer, I'm sure you've probably made assumptions in the past about number one about frequency. Frequency is a big assumption that people make. They're like, oh, I don't want to email my recipients too much. They're gonna unsubscribe. I don't want them to complain. And this again is the big assumption. You know, don't make that assumption unless the numbers tell you not to email. Because this is the biggest thing is that again, if you're not going to email, there's 10 other guys behind you that are going to email your list. So it's up to you to decide, are you going to make the money or the guy behind you? So number one, don't make assumptions about frequency. Don't make assumptions about the type of offers. I made a big mistake 2 years ago where, you know, my affiliate manager kept on busting my ass all the time to send this one Christian Bible offer. Christian Bible. I was like, people don't like this. He's like, listen, it's crushing it right now. Just do it. I was like, all right, no problem. Right. I dropped it. To this day. That offer is still by far my top offer because it converted at over 60%. It was insane. So from that point onward, I never made an assumption. I was like, I'm testing everything. Bible offers, dental, whatever you want me to do, walk-in tubs. I will test anything and everything. I will let the numbers dictate.
No, that's definitely good advice. I mean, because I had the same thing. There's so many. I'm really big into testing, and it's to the point now where like I'll be looking at a landing page and it has a grammatical error or a spelling error. I won't correct it. I'll leave it, and then I'll split test it with with the correct version of it, or whatever. And sometimes the corrected grammar works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You got to you can you can't assume. You got to test everything. So,
You have to test. Yes, that's the biggest thing. Biggest thing with emails, test everything.
all right. So, what is the second biggest mistake that email marketers make?
What is the second? Ooh, where's the list here? Let me just grab it.
I'm sorry.
Give me a
I'll
second.
tell you.
Uh,
It's
Switch screen here.
about copying others.
Okay. Oh yes, the second one is yes, the copying others. Yes, you see this a lot, and I think we see this a lot in our space, right? Especially in the IM space. You see this a lot where people are just copying other people. They make an assumption. They're like, oh, well, I get this email all the time from whatever it is, company XYZ, or this guru keeps mailing. So, he's crushing it. So let me just do what he's doing. And the biggest mistake here is, again, like, you don't know what their numbers are dictating. You don't know how they're doing. You have no idea what they're actually doing. So, and I see this too with Facebook all the time, where big business, where, and again, smaller companies will look at big business to see like, well, if they're doing this, they doing. I can't tell you how many times I've gone into, Fortune 500 companies and looked at what they're doing and was baffled by the epic amount of mistakes they were making. So, and these are some of these are publicly traded companies, and you look at this saying, oh my God, imagine if they just made this one tiny little change on a daily basis. So again, it's just the biggest takeaway here is Don't copy others. Stick to what you know works. And again, test everything.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I remember this one time. This was years ago, but there was a campaign that I saw on Google, and I saw they were spending tons of money, and so I knocked the whole thing off. I'm like, man, I'm just knocking this whole thing off, and I made it like extremely similar to that. I mean, it wasn't exactly the same, but it was very close. And I started running it, and I got a few sales, but I was like losing money like crazy, and I was like, how can these people afford to run this? And I couldn't figure it out until I, kind of looked deeper in their offer, and then I realized that they had a back end that I didn't have.
Yeah.
They had a back end, like a big back end. So they were losing money up front just to acquire those customers, but they had some type of real estate deal or something in the back end that they were making a lot of money from. So, and that, goes to exactly what you said. Like, you don't know these other people's numbers. You don't know what they're doing. So you can lose a lot of money like that. I have, trust me. Okay.
Yes.
So I've been doing this for a long time. Any mistakes that are to be made, I've probably made them. So they say a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. Any fool can learn from their own mistakes. So learn from my mistakes.
That is true.
Learn from Gabriella's mistakes. That's how you you win. All right. So we kind of touched on this one, but your number 3 marketing mistake has to do with split testing.
Yes. Yes. So split testing is another big thing. Yes, we already touched on this. Again, it also comes with email. Again, we go back to why this isn't so sexy. And again, it is because probably a lot of people have failed. The people that have been really successful know the value of it. But when it actually comes to the split testing, I find that, especially with email, where you have this huge opportunity to split test, right? It's like if you're sitting on a list of 100,000, why would you ever put all your eggs into one basket and just do a blast of a promotion without knowing if people like it, if people are going to open or click? So with email, it's so easy to split test. It's super, super easy. And this actually goes to my point number 5. Don't mean to go ahead of you, but this is also P testing, which I call prior testing, right? So the split testing and the prior testing go hand in hand, where let's just say if you had a campaign that you wanted to send out, let's just say for a sale that you had today. Typically what I would always do is, the day before, I would kind of query 20% of the database, and I would split test the small segment, and I would just basically split test A and B and 2 campaigns, just different subject lines, different ad copy, calls to action. And then based on those results, then I would roll it out to the rest. Because at that point now, again, I'm no longer putting all my eggs in one basket. On Facebook, right? On Facebook, you would never just put one ad and put 100 grand on one ad. No. Right? You're going to start small. You're going to start small with $100, whatever it is. You're going to split test. You're going to find what works, and then you're going to roll it out. Email is no different. That's the biggest thing, is email is no different than display ads. That's what email actually is. And that's the biggest misconception, which I think we touched to another point where, again, email is not a sales page. Email is a display ad. You need to get people to open and click. That's it. You don't make the sale in the actual ad copy, in the actual display ads in your email client.
No, that's good. That's man, open and click. That's the mission.
That's it. Yes, and I used to love your emails back in the day. I used to love them because they were literally one sentence.
Yeah, definitely work. But then I have people that can, I want to, people actually complain and actually like they want to see longer emails because they like the way I write and stuff. So now I gotta mix it up. But yeah, absolutely. All right, so mistake number 4 has to do with seating. Like, what is seating?
Seating, yes. So seating is the big thing, right? So seating is basically creating email addresses and deploying those emails the same way like you would an email list before you actually broadcast or while you're broadcasting. So you can actually see where your emails are being placed. Because again, this goes back to making an assumption, right? A lot of people make this assumption that if they're not making money, then it's because again, there's something wrong with the offer, there's something wrong with their email list. But reality is they're actually just not inboxing. That's what it is. So the seeding basically allows you to be proactive, right? So if you deploy a broadcast and email campaign before you send it out to everyone else, you can actually see where you're placed. So you'll notice out of your seeds, right? So, and a seed is, if you have, let's just say, Gmail accounts, Yahoo accounts, you would create minimum 3 for each. So you'd create 3 Gmail seeds, 3 Yahoo seeds, 3 AOL seeds, and you would create an email list of those seeds and you would deploy it. And then again, based on where your emails land, you would adjust your email campaign so you didn't land in the spam folder, right? Because what happens when your emails land in the spam folder, no one sees them, right? They don't see them, you don't get the open, you don't get the click, you don't get any traffic, you get nothing. So seed testing is huge. So yeah, you create your seeds, you deploy, you split test, you see where you land, and then you make your adjustments, and then you broadcast. That's it.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So let me ask you this. So I guess I mean, do you do more seeds like if it's like a really big blast? Um,
Well, it depends. It's seeding, remember, can be also a little time consuming because you have to go into each and every seed to actually interact with them. Because it's not enough that you create the seeds, you still have to engage with them, right? So for Gmail, so Gmail and Yahoo are the 2 domains that are heavily dependent on user engagements, which means that the way the user interacts with their email client is huge, right? It's big. So this is why when you create your seeds, you have to create 3 different types of users. You have to create the lurker, you have to create the user that opens and clicks everything, and then you have to create the user that never opens and never clicks. And you're going to see that they're different among each. So I always say minimum 3, but of course, with anything else, stats is a numbers game, right? The more seeds you have, the better representation you have of where your emails are actually being placed. Now, there's services out there that you can, like Lashback, right? So Lashback is a service out there that will give you, that you can purchase seeds and they monitor all your seed accounts for you. So you don't have to actually go in and check. There's also Return Path out there as well. So there are different services that you can actually use to monitor seeds to help you be able to inbox more emails and be proactive.
yeah, I kind of figured that might get kind of time consuming, like logging into all the
Yes,
different email accounts. So.
it can. It does. But again, like, listen, at the end of the day, if email is making you $5,000 a day, if you're going to go in, if it takes literally 30 minutes a day to go in and check seeds, again,
Yeah,
it might be interesting to just get someone to outsource the seeds and make $5,000 a day. That's perfect.
I agree. All right, let's take a quick pause for the cause here, commercial break, and let's talk about the event that you're going to be speaking at. Now,
Yes.
I know, I'm one of these people these affiliates that's tried email marketing. I've bought several like 5-figure courses and even hired people to do it, and it just always was like a
Mm-hmm.
nightmare. And to the point where I was like, forget it.
Yeah.
It's just not worth. Let me just go back to what I know best. But you sent me some information that you're going to be talking about at the event that really broke it down to a really simple system. I believe there was 5 phases to it. So can you talk about that a little bit? Kind of talk about what you're going to be presenting on at the event.
Yes, absolutely. So this actually came about because I've always been asked, Gab, how to, can you teach me how to email? Can you teach me how to email? And, I used to teach people email marketing years ago. I used to teach them. And it wasn't something, and again, like as much as I mentioned, I had this love-hate relationship with email. As much as I'm good at it, I'm sort of fed up, bored with it. But I do want to be able to share my 13 years with people. So I figured, you know what, let me do these simple 5 phases. Because at the time I was actually training my buddy Mo about how to build an email list, because he wanted to know. He's big into e-commerce. So he's like, Gab, I need to learn email. Let me do this, right? So I was okay, that's perfect. Let me come up with an easy 5 phases. This way I can finally share this with the world. And again, I broke it down in a simple 5-step process, because it truly is that simple, where it just comes down to being able to pick a vertical, right? And again, you've had this experience, right? You've had this experience with lead pages, with squeeze pages, right? You build squeeze pages, you capture the email leads. But a lot of times people have no idea what to do with this email lead or how to be able to make money with it. So I basically, in this 5 phases, I basically show you in terms of phase 1, I show you how to basically pick a vertical, right? It's how to pick a winning vertical. Then we go through actually creating the actual bribe, right? Because again, people are not just going to give your email address for nothing. You have to give them something of worthwhile. So we go through then creating the actual bribe, and I actually show you how to do it in that way. Then we go to picking an email service provider, because that is the biggest problem, right? When it comes to being able to manage now this email list. That's one of the biggest questions I always get all the time is, which email service provider would be best? And that's a big one. So I kind of show you which ones to actually go for if you really want to reach that $1 million email list. Because to get to that $1 million, there is a very specific way to do it. And I show you throughout this entire process how to actually do that. I also go through the do's and don'ts, which I'm not going to go through now, but I do definitely tell you what to avoid in certain cases, because again, I've made these mistakes 100 times. So I want to make sure that you guys have all the knowledge you need so you don't make the same mistakes. The phase 2, which is making it rain. This is the fun part, right? This is the fun part. You've captured the lead. Now it's about time to start making money with it. And basically, I show you how to sign up with affiliate networks, the right way to get accepted into affiliate networks, because I'm sure you've had this experience before where, sometimes you don't get accepted into network for whatever process of how to actually get accepted to an affiliate network. Also the types of offers that you should be choosing to make sure that you're able to actually monetize your email list in a positive way while still getting those opens and clicks. Because again, with email, it's all about the open and the click. Then we go through, of course, tracking. Tracking is the biggest thing, right? People don't realize in email market, especially with email, that networks like to shave. They like to shave a lot. Okay. I don't know how it is with media buys, but I know with email, they scrub.
Same.
They deny it.
Same.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
They do it? Oh, wow. So with email, it's big. So this is why, you don't just rely on your ESP tracking. No, you have that as your backup. Then you have your third-party tracking as your backup. And then you have, of course, your network tracking, which the discrepancy should never be more than 10%. If you have a 10% discrepancy, then that's a big warning flag. And I basically go through the steps that what you need to go through to make sure that your data isn't being scrubbed out, or at least try to resolve that with the networks. So tracking is key, especially with email. Then we go through phase 3, which is basically feeding the beast. This is the big thing, right? So you found a winning campaign, you're getting great leads, you're able to make your money back even before they finish the funnel, because that's the great thing about email is that you can make back, your cost of lead gen even before you ever send your first email. So again, like when I said, like there's massive value to this, it's just that, again, you have to properly educate yourself, because again, if you're not winning on email, chances are it's because you're not inboxing, and it's one little tiny thing that's stopping you. So feeding the beast is a big thing. Right. So we go through kind of setting up Facebook ads. I don't go through setting up Facebook ads because, again, we could probably spend hours just on that. So, but I do basically give you quick tips. Like, let's just say if you're not great at Facebook ads, the best thing to do is have a joint venture with someone, right? This is a perfect opportunity to joint venture with someone who is great at doing lead gen. Sharing your current leads all day long. But again, they don't know how to monetize it. So this is a perfect opportunity to start a joint venture with someone where it's like, hey, listen, you bring me the leads, I'll monetize the email, I'll take care of that. We'll split the revenue, whatever it is. And this way, it's a quick way for you to get started, because you don't need to be an expert in lead gen. You just need to be able to acquire those leads. That's it. So we go into feeding the beast. Then we go into basically phase 4, which is mass control. And this is the big thing, right? This is where I basically teach you how to actually condition your users, right? How to condition your users to always go back to their email clients, because again, if you look at some of the big guys, the big gurus, and even some of the guys that are big in email marketing, they make the biggest mistake, which is not conditioning the user the minute they sign up. They don't condition the user. They actually do condition them, but they don't condition them to go back to their email clients. And one of the biggest things is, because I focus on inboxing, since that's my strong suit, my focus is always get them back to the email clients. So in Mass Control, I basically show you how to condition the users upon sign up so that they're always going back to their email clients. So you don't have issues with inboxing. So this is it. Remember, when it comes to email, your biggest battle is always trying to combat the inboxing issue. Then we go to optimizing basically the funnel as well, right? Because a lot of people, again, they'll make the mistake of just putting in the lead gen and then, putting in the bribe and then giving them the bribe at the end of the email acquisition, which is the biggest no-no, right? Again, this is your opportunity to make money as you go along, even before you send the first email. So I basically show you how to monetize basically the entire opt-in funnel as well. And then of course we go through the email ad copy, which is another big problem that a lot of email marketers have, right? And so you've gone through this as well, right? So people wanted longer emails. So I basically go through, the basic structure. There is a basic structure, just like there is with display. Okay, as I mentioned, email is no different than display. And I basically go through the basics of what you need to have in your email copy to get that engagement, because email is about engagement. Excuse me, it's about engagement. It's not about getting the sale, it's about getting the click. So I basically break down the easy way to create ad copy where you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a copywriter. You do not need a copywriter, by the way. You don't. And then we go through basically phase 5, which is the drop, right? So you've done everything, you've done all the 4 phases. Now it's about time that you actually start dropping these email campaigns. And I basically show you how often to do it, frequency-wise, and you'll notice that I am a lot more aggressive than most email marketers out there, because again, I was born from the third-party era, and we used to email lists 8-10 times a day, the same list 10 times a day. We didn't give a shit. We just mailed. We mailed. I mailed until we got unsubscribes or complaints. That's it. So I basically, because again, right, it's all about frequency. If you're not emailing, the guy behind is. So I show you how to do it in a way that still keeps you compliant, keeps your engagement up. You get massive amounts of opens and massive amounts of clicks through this. So I show you the right way to do it in terms of getting that frequency and what to look for if you need to scale back, if you need to, in terms of frequency. So, and then I also go through the benefits of, broadcasts versus autoresponders, because I know that a lot of people put too much weight on autoresponders, and that is actually killing your business. It kills. It kills. I think anytime you automate anything, and I tell this to a lot of people, right? Anytime they come to me with the argument of, you should be using autoresponders, I always ask them the same question, right? I always ask them, would you ever run a Facebook ad, put $50 a day, and walk away for 30 days? Would you ever do that?
I wouldn't.
But there you go. But most people do that, right, with their emails, right? They set up an autoresponder. They're like, okay, I'm going to make money on autopilot, and I'm going to go away for 30 days, and I'm just going to collect my money at the end of the month. And long behold, what ends up happening, right? They make no money. They say email doesn't work, email sucks, and they go back to doing what they were doing before, right? Not realizing that that pitch that the email service provider made you, that, oh yeah, you can just set up autoresponders, set up your email list, and you can set and forget it. It's the one thing that's actually killing your business. It's killing their business, and it's killing your business at the same time. So yes, those are the 5 phases. That's what I'm basically going to go through in the 5 phases. And it really is your quickest guide to get started quickly building an email list. Because in all honesty, anyone that has an idea now for an email list, if you already have an opt-in, start it, create the funnel, and you can easily start making money today with it. And you don't need thousands of dollars for it. You really don't.
Sounds awesome. So, hey, go over to, I'm sorry, man, I got chopped up. But yeah, go over to gregdavisevent.com, gregdavisevent.com, get your tickets. Now look, the tickets were $9.97, but I did a little survey and people were expressing the fact that they wanted a reduced, a lower price. So I reduced the price. I put the price back to the early bird price of $4.97. All right, because I'm a nice guy. Okay, I'm a man of the people. I understand. Okay, I know how it
Yes.
is. The money is tight and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to help you out as much as possible. So $4.97. I mean, Gabriella's uh, Gabriella's talk is worth the $4.97 to buy it. So more than that. All right, so she's worth the price of admission by herself. And there's still 8 other speakers. I think it is that are there as well. So yeah, GregDavisEvent.com, $4.97. Grab your ticket. October 13th through the 15th. So let's get back into this. Let's see, where was I here? All right, so let's see. Mistake 6 or 5 was no P testing, but you talked about that. So
Yes. Spoke about that. Yeah.
let's talk about number 7, not knowing your email list makeup.
Oh, yes, your email list makeup. Okay, so I'll ask you, Greg, what domains make up your email list? Do you know? Like how
Domains?
much of it is Gmail? How much of it is, yes, like how much is Gmail? How much is Yahoo?
Yeah, actually, I might look at that. I know it's like 50% Gmail, and then I think next is Yahoo. I think
Gmail. Okay.
yeah, Gmail is by far.
So there you go. So did you know that email filters, like you can send the exact same message to Gmail, Yahoo, and AOL, and that each and every one of them is going to filter them differently? Did you know that? Meaning that some will hit the inbox, some will spam.
Yeah, kind of. I have no idea how to get them into the right inbox.
There you go. But this is it, right? So when you're choosing, so this comes back to, again, why is it that your email campaign isn't working, right? So instead of saying, oh, email sucks, it doesn't work, knowing your email list makeup, right? Knowing the breakdown. If you know that your breakdown is, 50% Gmail, if it's 30% Yahoo, the rest is whatever it is, AOL and Hotmail. First of all, you need to know where the bulk of your money is coming from, right? If you knew the bulk of your money was actually coming from Yahoo users and AOL users as opposed to Gmail, would you focus so much on would you get more Gmail leads or would you try to get more Yahoo and AOL leads?
Yahoo and AOL.
But there you go, right? So, and again, this also comes down to deliverability. Let's just say your typical open rate is, let's just say 3%. And all of a sudden, one day you go from 30% to 3%. Now, you know that your email list makeup is mostly Gmail, right? Then oh shit, I may have an issue with Gmail. So already off the bat, knowing your email list makeup will already give you an indication in terms of saying, okay, who is my most valuable? Where do I need to focus my most attention on? Because again, every single domain out there filters your messages differently. What you send to Gmail might spam in Yahoo, right? So if 30% of your users are Yahoo, but you get most of your money from Yahoo, guess what? I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I inbox on Yahoo. I don't really give a shit about Gmail. I can even segment Gmail out if I wanted to. So again, understanding your list makeup gives you the clear picture, right? It's the same way with Facebook. Imagine you're running a Facebook ad. I mean, yes, you know your targets in Facebook, right? But imagine if you knew exactly, like if you had 5 targets, imagine if you knew exactly which target you were generating mostly your money from instead of doing separate campaigns. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be super beneficial. And that's what email does by knowing your email list makeup. By knowing this, I know exactly how to attack and how to resolve the issue if there is one. So yes.
Sounds good. Yeah, I definitely got to pay more attention to that because I just had somebody analyze it and I think it was like 55% Gmail. So but I haven't dug too much deeper than that.
But you should be, so that's the step 2 would find out how much money you're actually making from mail. Because again, why would you be sitting on a database full of 50% of people that don't buy your stuff?
Yeah.
It's like, well, if more Yahoo and Hotmail, guess what? I'm going to go find more Yahoo and Hotmail. That's what I'm going to do. And you can do that. You can target just to go specific for those domains.
All right, let's go move on to here number 7. Number 7 mistake: not tracking lead sources.
Yes, not tracking lead sources. That's a big thing, right? Going into a publicly traded company and they had over 100 different publishers, but they didn't know who had the better, who had the better sources. And I'm like, I don't understand. I'm like, hey, you guys, how do you cap, like, how do you cap these affiliates? What's going on here? Like, how do you know who's actually giving you good leads? They're like, well, we just kind of balance everything out at the end of each quarter. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, all right. I'm like, okay. I'm like, again, mailing blind, right? Like, as a media buyer, you know that you rely on your lead sources, right? You track everything. The same thing with email, right? So let's just, if you're getting a ton of complaints, then the whole thing is to be able to track that source, because again, the source might be great on clicking whatever it is, but again, it might be a big source of complainers at the same time too. And when you're managing 10 different sources, again, you don't want to just can all 10, because you may have 2 gems in there that if you can it because of one source that you can't really track, well, then you could be canning again those 2 great sources. So tracking the lead source is critical in this. You have to be tracking the lead source. And I'm crazy when it comes to tracking. Well, I'm crazy when it comes to analytics. So I track everything. I pass everything through sub IDs all the time.
My kind of lady. All right, let's go to number 8, relying on your ESP to inbox.
Oh, this is the biggest one. Biggest one. And I'm sure you get this too all the time in the group as well. They're like, oh, what ESP inbox is the best? And I get that question all the time. And I hate being asked that question, because the minute someone comes to me asking me that question, I already know your level of email knowledge. And that's big, right? It's, especially in the online space, right? If you go to someone, and this is why you have to be extremely careful. If you go to someone who has experience, right, they could easily take advantage of you if they know you have no knowledge, right? So this is big. So when people come to me, it's like, I already know you have zero knowledge about email if you're asking me which ESP inboxes. That's not it. So remember, ESPs, your email service provider, is not responsible to inbox your emails. If that was the case, then you and I right now would not be on this call. We would both be on a beach, sipping on some cocktails. I don't know, just enjoying the day, right? So it's not. It is not their responsibility. Their responsibility is to take your email and get it delivered. That's it. That is it. The rest is up to you. So this is why empowering yourself with the knowledge you need, and you don't need much. You don't need much. You just need some knowledge, especially about inboxing. And then at that point, again, use all the tactics and you'll be able to go to any email service provider. That's it. So your responsibility is your.
Gotcha. It makes a lot of sense. All right, let's keep going here to number 9. Number 9 mistake, talking about mailing inactive data.
Yes, mailing inactive data. I was actually having this conversation with Dave Miz a couple of days ago, where he was asking me, and you see this a lot, right? Even people ask about, oh, I sent out this email campaign, it didn't get great reception. Let me send it again. And what they do is they'll send that same, and again, email is all about one thing, which is engagement. So just think about it for a second, right? Remember, domains like Gmail, Yahoo are looking for engagement. What happens when you send an email campaign to people that have not opened or clicked? Not just on that email, but on your previous emails. That is going to go against your email reputation, right? So it doesn't do, so again, sending to inactives is the wrong thing to do. You never want to do that, ever. So that's a big thing, is basically not sending to inactive data. And of course, it also comes down to proper hygiene, right? Like anything else, right? You wash your body, your email also needs some good hygiene, right? To keep it pristine. And the whole thing with that is, and I know people have this very tight bond when it comes to their email list for some reason, but really getting rid of the people that haven't opened and clicked over 60 days is paramount to keeping your email reputation up. And again, that comes down to being able to inbox more emails, getting more opens and more clicks. So don't focus on the inactives. Don't focus on the number of people you have on your list. Focus on the quality and not the quantity. That's the deal. Yes.
Okay, so I guess that kind of moves into number 10, which is mailing to unopens.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I think I covered both of them at once. Didn't realize that. So yes, so that's it. I covered both at the same time. So that's it. So it's important to, again, and let me just kind of touch base a little bit on that unopened. So I'll give you kind of an easy fix for that. An easy fix for that is basically what I always like to do is I call it the broad qualifying email. So instead of, so let's just say, again, you have a campaign you want to send out for whatever it is, a sale, right? What I would typically do is I would send out a broad email campaign to all my recipients first, and I'd be like, hey guys, have some really interesting information on, X, Y, and Z. Do you want to hear more? Click yes here, click no for here. So what I've done at this point is I've created a qualifying email, but not only that, I've created 2 engagement points because people have no choice but to answer yes or no, right? Right. So the people who do say yes, and again, I call it broad because it is a broad email. I'm not saying, okay, guys, do you want to learn how to whiten your teeth? You know what I'm saying? No, I'm going to be like, hey guys, do you want a way to attract more people? Again, that's a broad qualifying email. Again, I'm going to push them the teeth whitening, but I'm going to do a broad qualifying email to make sure I capture everyone who might be interested in improving themselves. So the people that say yes, I'm going to make sure to send them that campaign because I know that these guys now are now qualified. And the people that say no, I'm just going to segment them out. So that's what I would call my broad qualifying email. And that's what you would do to actually to combat the unopens issue that people tend to focus too much on.
Gotcha. Sounds good. That's really smart. I like that, the whole yes no thing, and you get guaranteed engagement. That's pretty slick.
Yes. And that's the big thing is don't just do yes. Always give them choices. People like choices. Give them a choice and give the yes and the no. And always go, just again, it's going to go to a landing page. And that's basically it. Just capture that lead, make sure it's tagged, and then segment them out. It's that simple.
Gotcha. All right, we have arrived at the last mistake. Mistake number 11, not verifying new leads.
Yes, not verifying leads. This is crazy. This is one of the biggest infractions that most email marketers make. And it's sad because even before you ever press send for the first time ever in email, your email reputation is already being monitored, right? So Gmail is already watching you. So Gmail is kind of like, they're watching you. Maybe you're knocking on their door. And for the first time, Gmail is going to be like, oh, no problem. Come right in, right? But what happens is if you walk into someone's house with their dirty, muddy shoes, chances are not going to be welcomed in the next time, right? So that's what not verifying leads is like, okay? And what I mean by this is you've already spent whatever it is, $5 maybe on acquiring a lead. Literally verification is just to see if that email address exists. And it literally costs max 2 pennies to verify. And a lot of people will be like, oh, that's too expensive. Which doesn't make any sense because again, if you email users that do not exist, Gmail is going to see that and they know that email user doesn't exist. And if you have anything over a 3% hard bounce rate, which means the email address does not exist, Gmail, regardless of where you acquired this list, people opted in, whatever it is, Gmail doesn't give a shit. Again, Gmail let you in the house once, you came in with your dirty, muddy shoes, they didn't like it, they slammed the door. And that's exactly what not verifying leads is like. That's what it's like. It's you didn't verify it and you basically tarnished your reputation. So it literally is just take the 2 pennies, whatever it is, you've already spent the money on the lead, might as well start off your reputation in a good way and verify every single lead before you send. And verify before you send. Don't verify it weeks before, because I see this too sometimes where people will verify whatever it is, 100,000 leads, and before, they'll do it 6 weeks beforehand. Don't do that. You always want to do it right before you actually send.
Well, I have a question on that. Like, how do they identify like who you are? Is it because is it from the return email? Is it from like, say for example, like if you're sending it from a AWeber or iContact or something? Like, how do they identify like you as a sender?
You mean how do the ISPs, like how did Gmail?
Yeah,
Like how do they identify you?
yeah. How do they identify you? As far as your reputation.
Well, that's a good question, right? So reputation right now is based on, before it used to be based on two things. It used to be based on IP, right? So which IP you're actually sending the emails from, and then your email domain, right? So you send from, I'm not sure what email address you send from. It's from the super affiliate Rockstar, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the one that you send from. So, and again, Gmail sees this, right? So Gmail from day one, since you've been sending emails, they've been watching that domain. That's what they're watching. They monitor every single piece of traffic that comes in and out of their email filters. So this is why, a lot of people too last year, where I think it was AWeber, right? There was this big exodus with AWeber because Gmail had moved. I'm going to get a little technical here. I'll try to keep it simple. They moved from IPv4 to IPv6, which now made people like Gmail, instead of looking at the IP reputation information with the domain, they're only looking at the domain now, which means that shared space that you were on AWeber, where you banked so hard on other people with great email lists and great reputation, and that's how you were able to inbox more, because you were banking off the reputation. But since when IPv6 came into play, 90% of people lost their ability to inbox because of that fact, because they were no longer on that shared space. They were solely dependent on their own domain. So if you have not the best email practices out there, then you're going to suffer for it and not your neighbor anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, that is it for our 11 mistakes email marketers make when their business. At this point, we got time to take a few questions. Take a few questions.
Yeah.
All right. Let us see here what we got here. All right. I agree with the lady. Email must be open to start engagement. Yes. Um, Somebody said, because your educational program is email marketing, it is already worth attending Greg's event, if for nothing else. That's right. Thank you
That's
very
right.
much. Your low. All right, here we go.
Hey, I charge people $800 an hour for this, so you're getting your education.
All right, man. All right. When creating seating accounts, Gmail, Yahoo, AOL email accounts, is it easier to set up on your mobile so you can have one place to check?
That's a good question. In terms of, I actually would use mobile to actually check my seeds. Um, and again, because what you actually see in terms of rendering on a mobile, like let's just say for Yahoo, for example, for example, when you create your seeds on a desktop, the messages that actually spam on desktop, the links are actually disabled, but on mobile, they're not disabled. So this is kind of like another trick. Let's just say if you have a lot of Yahoo mobile users, and let's just say a lot of your email messages are spamming, then I would target your actual mobile users to actually get that click rate up, because on desktop, they've disabled it altogether. You can't click on a single link in your spam folder. So using mobile is definitely helpful for sure, because it's quick. It's quick, it's easy, it's there, it's at your fingertips, as opposed to always being on your desktop. And on top of that too, you also get your notifications much quicker too on mobile. So it's just a different medium. That's all it is.
All right. How much is her training, and can we buy it before the event? I don't
I,
think she
I,
actually has training.
I don't, it's still being documented. That's the whole thing. Is I've always done one-on-one, and I don't do one-on-one training anymore at all. So I do have to just document it. Everything is on paper. I just have to video document it. That's it. but it will be coming soon.
All right. Let's see. You must invest effort and time into strategy to make it work. Absolutely. Let's see here. As an affiliate right now, we are buying traffic through different email publishers, mailing out offers. We want to start collecting our own data. What is the value per subscriber?
That's a good question, right? It's also it's like anything else, right? If with any business, it all depends on what amount of effort you're actually going to put into in order to get that out. So there is no magic number. I know people always ask me that too, and there's no magic number. I can just tell you this, that depending on your lead source or depending on what your funnel is, I can definitely guarantee you that if you're not making money by the end of your funnel, you're definitely making money. At least you're getting your return on your acquisition spend on the first email you send. But everything is contingent on the vertical, right? So you pick the vertical. Trust me, by the end of the funnel, you will be able to cover your acquisition costs in no time. So this is why any money afterwards is literally just the cherry on top.
All right. Let's see. Do you ever do cold email on a list to permission pass it to a lander where people can opt into a warm list? So I guess basically, do you ever email to a non-opted in list to get people to opt in?
Never. I mean, I wouldn't say never. I have done it for sure. Absolutely. I did manage other people's data for years. So of course we did that. But again, like I would really, really, if you're going to embark on this crazy, insane email journey, I always recommend to people, generate your own leads. Generate them. Don't try doing it the half-assed way of acquiring a list or whatever it is. Don't do it that way. Do it the right way where, again, even if you don't know how to generate the leads, joint venture with someone who does. Okay, have them do what they do best, monetize, and then basically work on the opt-in, work on the actual funnel itself, and then work on just the getting the right promotions, just getting the right CPA offers. And there's a ton of CPA offers out there, tons. And CPC is my favorite, actually. Tons of CPC. CPC is quick cash, quick, easy, really nice cash.
Just like that.
Just clicks.
That's what we like.
You're getting paid for clicks. And I have a really really interesting trick that I used a couple of months ago with trying to bypass the whole network shaving thing. So I have a good little tidbit. I'll share that with you maybe, but it was a good one. I got rid of pretty much 98% of all network shaving because of it.
Wow. I need that. Yeah. All right. Next question is how do you verify?
But this is more on the third party side.
Okay. All right. Next here, how do you verify the email addresses?
Yes, there's services for that. You can, of course, do it yourself. There's ways to do it if you're technical, but for the most part, there's services out there. Don't waste your time. Two of the trusted partners that I work with, one is Verify, and the other one is Email Oversight. Those are the two that I actually work with. So, and both are great. Both are very, very good. You have to just be very, very mindful of anytime you're dealing with a third party service who has access to your email list. Because I will tell you that, with online marketing, there's a lot of shady people in this business. And the minute you give your email list to a third party, remember, if they are not a good source, if a lead was worth whatever it was, maybe $100, now you can basically bring it down to almost $0 because you don't know if this guy is stealing your data, reselling your data, or whatever it is. Because the minute other people have that data, you've diluted and you've killed that email lead. So just be very mindful. So if you want to, Verify or Email Oversight, those are your two providers.
All right. Let's see. Hi, Greg. Will this webinar be available as a replay? Yes, I will put out a replay probably later this evening. I'll send it out. Let's see. So the spam law say you have to have your email permission based. Yes. She's nodding her head.
Absolutely. You absolutely. And just remember too is another thing that people don't realize that if you want to be not just can spam compliant, but California compliant, your who is must be public. This is another thing that people don't realize. Because people don't realize that email is people get sued for email. There are spambulance chasers that is their job is to find guys that are not compliant and sue them all day long. That's what they do.
Yeah, actually, at my last event in 2014, I had an attorney there that specialized in email, and yeah, she talked about the same thing, especially for California. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
you could pretty much go to jail. Excuse me, if you do if you do the wrong thing.
No,
Um,
absolutely. I know plenty of guys. I know guys. I mean, I have horror stories of FBI like coming into their homes and taking everything. I mean, the stories are insane. It's crazy.
all right, guys, keep it legal.
Yes.
Let's see. I sent our recording. Yes, I will. Let's see. What's the best first email to send to a purchase list?
Don't purchase lists. But if you want to, CPC offers is what you want because your CPA is going to be much harder to convert because you don't know that traffic. But at CPC, cost per click, that's much easier.
Would that be a situation where you could mail them a squeeze page or get them into, a real permission list?
Remember, yeah, you can do that, right? You can absolutely do that. You like I said, we used to do that all the time back in the day when I was doing third. This way we wouldn't have to pay our partners. It's a sketchy way to do it, but you can. But then again, it comes down to the quality of the leads. Remember, if you bought this lead is being mailed by how many thousands of other email marketers out there? If they're being mailed by thousands of other email marketers out there, your job for inboxing, this is why I hate coverage data. Hate it. I have coverage clients and I hate it for that reason because coverage data is a fickle beast because you're dealing with people that are on thousands of other email lists. And remember, Gmail is looking at interaction within each and every user, and even Yahoo. Yahoo actually scores how many times people are actually on specific emails. So regardless if they opted into your email list, trying to inbox that email is going to be a it's going to be a lot more time consuming, and you're going to be spending a lot more time just trying to do that. So this is why yes, you can go with the purchase list. Yes, you can easily get them onto your list. But how degraded is that lead?
Gotcha. Okay. 1.5 million from a tiny list with less than 1,500 subscribers. Can you guys talk about this? Yeah, that was me. Real quick, I don't want to take a lot of time here. I actually was thinking about it. I think I'll make this one of my presentations at my event, but just briefly, um, the main key to it, and I mean the main key to it was your relationship with the list, like the relationship that you have with the list. And so I was able to develop a really strong relationship with the list. And the main way that I did that is through video. All right, through video. I had a
Mm-hmm.
video blog.
Yep.
Some of you guys have been around for a while, following for a while. You know, you've seen it and everything. But I had a video blog, and really that was the main thing I think that really helped me connect with the audience, help us have a good relationship. And the other thing, main thing that I did was, I mean, I also had conditioned my list. Like it's kind of a different type of list conditioning from what Gabriella was talking about. For me, like I conditioned them to spend money because, like, the reason why
Yeah.
I was able to do those kind of numbers is because I had really expensive stuff to sell. You know, I was selling coaching, started at 12,000 and it went up to 80,000 actually, the highest coaching product I had. But I was able to, then when I came out with a 15K product, I had people like, oh yeah, finally something I can afford, and they jumped on it. So, stuff like that. I'll talk, I'll probably do a module on that at my event. And I can, kind of show show specific examples of emails that I sent and different videos I made and stuff like that. But yeah, but that's that in a nutshell. Just using videos to really cement that relationship between myself and the audience, make them feel like they knew me. It's kind of funny because like when I had my first event, people come up to me, it's like, man, it's like I know you. It's like I know you. I
Yeah.
feel like I know you. It's because it's from videos. People see you and hear
Yeah.
you. It's like they feel as though that they know you. So yeah, so that's what that was
Yes. Conditioning your user is huge. That's the biggest thing. So condition your user from day one, and yeah, anything you do afterwards is pretty much cherry on the top.
about. Yep. Okay, somebody says for CPC, do you like Ad Station?
The things I've seen with Ad Station. Fun fact: I consulted with them. I think my 5-year non-disclosure agreement, I think, is over. Long story short, no, I would not use them. I would not. But that's just my personal opinion.
All right.
That's my personal opinion. Pick your offers. Again, there's no easy way to do it. Pick it, and you'll have much better results.
All right. No Ad Station. Let's see. What does she use to send her emails? An ESP or self-hosted software?
Good question. So I used to do both. I don't own any more servers. I did actually just test a couple of months ago mailing with Relays, and Relays is probably the second closest thing. And Relays, let me just kind of explain to you what that is. That's basically like a Mailgun or a SendGrid or I think Send13 or something like that. Those are like DYN or things like that. That's a Relay. Or Amazon, right? So you have Amazon as well. So those are Relays. So that's the second closest thing to actually owning your own servers type. So I've used both, and I used actually Mailgun, which was a huge learning curve. And again, it was a great experience. But I like to use a combination. Always have your own servers. But when you're starting out, ESP is perfectly fine. You just need to make sure that your ESP has the features you need to get the engagement you need, because not all ESPs are the same, right? So, and it really depends on what it is that you need. You don't need a Marrow Post. You don't need an Infusionsoft. You don't need a Klaviyo with all its crazy bells and whistles. You don't need any of that shit. You don't. You need something that is basic enough, that has the features you need, that's good price point, that has amazing customer support. Because that's big for me. And I actually have like a free tool that I give to people sometimes to help you choose your ESP. And it basically breaks down, gives you a nice little, easy little checklist where it basically gives you priorities. Because for myself, my priority is support number one. That's always my number one thing. So to answer your question, no, I don't use my own servers for now. If I was mailing, the 10 million emails I was back in the day, then I would, because it comes down to cost. So, but you're perfectly fine with Relays and ESPs.
Can you send me that checklist you're talking about?
Yes, I'll send you a link to it.
Is it okay if I share it with them?
Yeah, sure,
Cool.
absolutely.
Right. There you go, guys. I'm gonna hook you all up. All right, let's see here. Somebody said, should I just suppress all of California?
No.
That's a lot of people you're gonna miss.
No. I definitely would not suppress California. Again, don't be afraid by this whole public who is thing. Again, the who is needs to be valid. It can't be some alias, right? So what you can always do is, remember, it just needs to be technically someone who works for you. That's it. So you can maybe hire a VA somewhere and wherever, pay them $10 a month if you like, just for their name, right? You didn't hear it from me. This is not legal advice you're hearing from me, by the way. But I'm just saying that there are ways to do it. Don't be afraid of this public who is, for you not to be able to mail. There's ways around it. Just be compliant and you'll be 100. You'll be fine. But do not suppress California. No.
Okay, here's another question about California, but pretty much answered it. Let's see. Software to mail with. What are some of the best places to find CPC offers?
Ooh, that's a good question. There's actually a couple of right now, actually. Active Sun, actually, I got some pretty good offers there from Active Sun a couple of months ago, and also affiliate.com. So affiliate.com is actually one of my favorites. Affiliate.com and Active Sun had some pretty good CPC offers. In terms of, again, there used to be some, OB Media used to be really big with CPCs, but their compliance is, again, it's extremely difficult to work with them, even when you're 100% above board, because you have to just be very, very careful with CPCs. But Active Sun is really good. Affiliate.com is really, really good. And those are my two favorite networks. But you can usually, again, depending on whatever network you're dealing with, you can usually ask them to acquire some CPC offers, and they're typically usually good at getting some.
All right, next question is, how can I tell if my emails are inboxing? Obviously, if they bounce, they aren't. But what about if they are accepted? Does that mean they're hitting the inbox? Could they still be going into the spam folder?
Yes. So again, that's the biggest misconception, right? So email service providers marketed that, we deliver 99%, right, of your emails. Delivery, deliverability are two very different words. Delivery is Gmail accepted it. Just because Gmail accepts it doesn't mean it's going to prioritize it into inbox or spam, right? Again, so if your emails bounce, yes, that means the email addresses don't exist. But assuming that just because they've been delivered does not mean they've inboxed. That's why you use your seeding. This is why you have to know your email list makeup. This is why you need to know your stats, your metrics, right? You need to understand what an open is, what a click is, right? What your unsubscribes are, so that you can tell if there's a discrepancy somewhere, how to basically tackle it. So no, don't make the assumption that just because it's been accepted, and I see this too with people, they go on, sender score, and they're like, oh, but look, my domain has a 99% sender score rating. Again, that means nothing. That means your emails were just accepted. They're inboxing. Chances are they're more than likely spamming. So that's why you need to be seed testing, and knowing your email list makeup is key.
All right. Next question. When I get someone to sign up, how long till I send my offer, or do I need to run them through a funnel before? I take it that means right away.
Right away. You hammer them. You got them? Hammer them. Yeah. You're already hammering them. The whole point is they've signed up. Again, go through the funnel, right? They're gonna go through hopefully some affiliate offers by the time you actually give them the bribe. And again, when you give them the opt-in, you never want to give them the opt-in at the last page. No, what are you gonna do? You're gonna send them back to their email client, right? The minute they get back to their email client, hit them with another offer. Again, if you're not emailing them, there's 10 people behind you waiting to email them. So you can either get the sale or not. And remember, I'm super aggressive. So as long as you watch your numbers, your unsubscribes, right, your rate of unsubscribes, and your feedback loops, which is your spam complaints, as long as they're within the threshold, then keep emailing them as much as you can, as long as you're getting the engagement.
Okay. What is a good way to start building a list and start collecting data? She's going to talk about that at the event. She's going to go through that, her 5-phase system. She briefly described it on the webinar, but she's going to get into detail there. Let's see. In the case of CPA offers where there must be a double opt-in to get conversion, I got to show that asking. I'm not sure what that is. Let's see. Your opinion of building a list via Opt Intelligence.
That would be co-reg.
Uh-oh.
That's co-reg. There's nothing wrong with co-reg. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. There's plenty of people that are extremely successful with co-reg, but like anything else, when you're dealing with a co-reg path, it comes down to tracking your sources, right? Tracking your traffic. If you find a source that does really well, go for it. I know that opt-in intelligence is very inexpensive because it's co-reg, but there's people out there that are able to make it extremely profitable. So there's nothing wrong with it. Test it. If it works for you, and you're able to make it back out within the first couple of emails, keep running with it. Whatever works. And then again, from there, you can start building better quality leads, because at the end of the day, sometimes you just need that first initial seed money to kind of be able to see that yes, there's potential, and then invest more and more into it. So there's nothing wrong with it at all. Just make sure you're able to make it back out within the first couple of emails. That's it.
All right. Can you give a few tips for writing emails that inbox in Gmail?
Yes. Again, if we could easily do that, we would all be on a beach right now, right? So again, this is still a great question. But it really comes down to, it's not your ad copy. Remember, if this was all about content, which it was 8 years ago, then inboxing would be, again, it would not be reputation based. But again, this comes down to your reputation. So the whole thing is you have to be able to create copy, which is really simple. Again, the same principles you use in a display ad, which is get the attention, right? You have your headline, you have whatever it is, your 1 or 2 sentences, and then you have your call to action. That's basically it. That is it. That's as simple as possible. So the whole point is, remember, if you want to inbox more, what do you need to do is you need to get the open, you need to get the click, or you need to get the reply. So if your focus is engagement first, it should always be that on email. Engage first, right? So if you know how to write a really compelling display ad, then you'll know how to write a really compelling email. Get the open, get the click, and then eventually afterwards, the sales will come because your email engagement will be improved because of it. You'll be able to inbox more. So engage first, sell second. And I show you how to easily do that.
All right. Greg, can you ask Gabriella to accept my friend request on Facebook? I want to connect with her. So yeah, Darcy Alec. She wants to be your friend on Facebook. So
Gotcha.
Darcy,
Noted.
make sure you. Probably a whole bunch of dudes that want to be your friends too after this webinar, but definitely accept Darcy. I'll leave the dudes up to you.
Yes, good. I always like the fellow femalers.
All right. Let's see. Still recommend your email inboxing course, or is there a more updated version now?
I do need to probably maybe update it with 1 or 2 things, but in all honesty, I've been using this template for 13 years. 13 years, it has not changed in 13 years. It's still an amazing resource. It's a great guide. Like I said, anyone that's trying to inbox more emails, make it your Bible. This is it. It's like everything I use for my corporate clients, whatever it is, I go through the exact same steps. So I may update it with 1 or 2 things, but in all honesty, not much has really changed.
All right. What are the top notches to run on the top niches to run on email? Dating, finance, payday, skin diet, e-cig.
Yeah, well, you basically touched on all of them. Again, when it comes to picking the niche, you have to look at what has the most emotion tied to it, right? It's not about where the most traffic is, what has the most emotions, right? So just think, pets, that's a big one, right? It's like I saw one a couple of weeks ago, it just blew my mind, right? About want to learn about your dog's, what your dog's body language is telling you. And I was looking at this, I'm like, oh my God, it got 20,000, something like 20,000 like shares. And I'm like, oh my God, it got 20,000 shares. It was insane. I'm like, no one would have ever thought like, oh, do an opt-in about your dog's body language. That she will crush it, right? Like no one, I don't think anyone ever, I know I wouldn't have thought about that. But again, it's in the pet niche and it works really well. So anything that's tied to emotions, we know that pet, we know that anything that involves mothers, kids, anything that's political, anything that involves money, stocks is a huge one as well. Then of course you have the ones diet, which never goes out of style, right? We know diet, beauty never go out of style. So all these things are going to be runners right off the bat. It's, do you have enough offers afterwards? Do you have CPA offers? Do you have CPC offers to be able to basically feed the beast throughout the next couple of basically months or weeks? That's what it comes down to. But just emotion, that's it.
All right, next question. When I lease out my list, should I encrypt the email address into MD5, or what is the best way to go about this?
It does depend, right? So not all email service providers support MD5. They don't support the hash. So you have to be very careful. Now, obviously, depending if you're dealing with a third party service provider, whatever it is, depending on if it's verification, a lot of them too don't support hash. The only system I know right now is just, I don't even know, does Facebook support hash? I don't know if it does. I don't know if you can upload an email list in hash in MD5. Um, but again, if you do have that option, then always choose that option for sure. But not all email service providers will have that option, unfortunately. They're still they're still archaic, unfortunately, in that sense.
Right. See, here's a question. Since you say engagement first, do you go for double opt-in always?
Never. I hate the double opt-in. It's terrible. Don't get me wrong, okay? I do the double opt-in, but I don't do it like, okay, guys, double opt-in now and confirm to be on this list. I don't do it that way. For me, again, that's something that we used to do 10 years ago that we just, again, people don't. The double opt-in is terrible. People don't want to opt in for this to begin with, especially a second time. So again, this is why I always get the user to go back to their email client, right? That's my double opt-in. That's how I prove, hey, guess what? They wanted to receive my stuff. So that's why I never give them the opt-in on the actual last page. I always say, go back to your email client. You want it, it's there, right? Go there and then click on the link and then you'll get it. So that is my version of double opt-in, if that makes sense.
All right. Let's see. What is the best what is the best tracking platform for tracking email clicks?
That's a good question. In all honesty, it comes down to whatever it is that you are more comfortable with, but you also need to make sure too on different tracking platforms, right? Now, I've used Prosper in the past. I usually like to have things that are self-hosted because, again, I don't want people looking at my stuff, right? And I'm sure with media buys, depending on which tracking platform you use, it's very easy to that people are looking at your stuff, whatever it is. So for me, I know that I've used Prosper in the past. I've never had any issues with Prosper. Whatever tracking you do end up using, just make sure you have something. And I also used the bill redirects in the past, which was okay. You definitely want to use a tracking that will allow you to easily swap out links if you make a mistake on a link. Or let's just say if you're running an offer, but it's restricted in certain areas, do make sure that you have the ability to restrict certain geo areas and also time. So make sure you have those three things. That number one, you can swap out a link if you make a mistake. Again, you can geo-target if needed, and then you can also have the ability afterwards to eliminate certain areas. That's what you want to focus on.
All right. Greg, need a link to Gab's email opt-in system. Well, you know what? She doesn't actually have like a product that she's currently selling for this, like right now, and she wasn't planning to sell a product at my event because I didn't want to have a pitch fest. But since you guys are asking for it,
Maybe.
I mean, maybe she might be able to put something together. So, so it's up to her. I mean, I don't think she has a link that I can give you right now, but if she comes up with something, I'll definitely be the first one to get it out to you. So, but right now, the plan was just to have her speak at the event, wasn't to have her sell anything. If you guys want to buy something though, I mean, I'm all
Right.
about. I'm not gonna. I'm not into turning down money. Okay, so hey, if that's what you want, then I'm sure she can deliver.
Yes, I'll definitely, I hold no promises for sure, but I'll definitely see if I can easily put something together for you guys.
All right, let's see. How can we get the information regarding eliminating 98% of network shaving? Well, I'll tell you. I'll get her to talk about it at the event. So that's something that she'll cover at the event as well. I'm gonna have to give you some more time, Gabriella.
because probably
got a lot to cover. Maybe have a part one and part two. But yeah, definitely come check her out at the event. I mean, this is just kind of kind of introduction and just to give you guys some some really good content and just idea of the kind of solid content that Gabriella provides. So GregDavisEvent.com, buy your ticket. We got almost was just like 3 weeks now, 3.5 weeks or something like that. So so definitely grab your ticket. And hurry up and get your room because I don't want the rooms to sell out. Then people have to stay at different hotels and stuff like that. So, but I'm not giving out the hotel right now because I don't want people crashing. So, but as soon as you buy your ticket, then you'll get the link to the hotel, get your room, and you'll be all set. So, with that, Gabriella, I want to thank you so much for being on the webinar. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your wisdom and knowledge. I can't speak for everybody else, but I know like I learned a lot myself, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot more in 3 weeks at the event. So thank you very much, and I will see you.
Amazing.
I'll see you in person in a few
Yes.
weeks.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much again for having me. Again, being able to speak to you and being able to speak to your audience and just give them a little bit more insight is what I'm trying to do here. So help people one email at a time so you can make more money. So excited to be there. Again, guys, get your tickets. Again, I gave you some insight of what to expect. And again, the price for the ticket is nothing compared. Get it.
All right, sounds good. With that, everybody, have a great rest of the day, rest of the evening, wherever you're at, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.